So the Blue Jays let me down and didn't defeat the Dodgers, so I had to take matters into my own hands and let out some frustration on some 16-bit baseball. And I picked Super Baseball Simulator 1000 to get some authentic baseball in retro form. Because nothing says realistic sports sim like hurling fireballs at 150 miles an hour and watching the stadium spin while you get a base hit. The graphics look pretty standard for early Super Nintendo titles at the time, a very classic Super Nintendo baseball look. Chunky sprites, big bright colors. On the surface, this plays like a pretty run-of-the-mill Super Nintendo baseball game. Pitch, hit, field, same as most early sports titles. But underneath, pure lunacy in the best way. Super Baseball Simulator 1000 is centered on gameplay in which players have supernatural ultra abilities. You can activate a missile hit, a bomb hit, an earthquake hit that dives the ball underground, and a shadowless hit that removes the ball's shadow, making it harder to catch, and many more. As for pitching, the phantom ball disappears and reappears, fireball goes 150 miles an hour, and floater ball turns the ball into a falling leaf. Until I was watching gameplay of somebody else playing this game on YouTube, I thought this was just a normal retro baseball title. And how can you blame me with a name like Baseball Simulator? So imagine my surprise when I saw the player light up and hit a missile that knocked a defender all the way to the outfield wall. I was like, what? How does one do that? Before realizing this, I was giving this game a grade C for just being, like I said, a run-of-the-mill baseball game that is just a step up graphically from its NES original and nothing more. And yes, this is a sequel like most other titles that say Super in front of it. But hey, once I saw that, I quickly looked up the manual and realized the significance of the Ultra label on the 6 of the teams. These are teams with superpowers. And you'd think, okay, they might have a really fast fastball or a swing that gives you extra power, but as you see here in the manual, there are 15 batting Ultra power-ups and 20 pitching Ultra power-ups, and it is crazy how unique they all are. Now, if you want real-life baseball, you can play without these abilities, but the game's heart and soul is the Ultra abilities. When pitching and batting, you push X to cycle through your abilities, as represented by small little icons here, and the manual decodes these icons for you if you need to refer back to it. Then press X again to select and watch the chaos ensue. And when those Ultra pitches or Ultra hits go off, the screen lights up and goes into an animation in a way that makes you feel like you're about to see something really special. So back to the beginning user interface, you can pick between 1, 3, or 5 9-inning games for exhibition or a season, which is perfect if you just want a quick hit of retro baseball dopamine without committing to a full marathon. But also, if you want to set up teams for a full season and just go for it, there is a 160-game full-length season option. In season mode, you can choose how many Ultra points each team gets, unlimited if you want the chaos, or dial it way back. You can also turn errors on or off. And there seems to be more errors than there should be in a Major League game, which does bug the crap out of me in Super Baseball Simulator. But listen, we are not turning errors off. Look, I'm sure every coach wishes they could just press a button and eliminate all errors from their team. Yeah, but then they wouldn't have to coach. But me, I'm one of the best managers in baseball, which means we'll have the fewest errors because we practice and I've recruited rightly. And you know what? A few errors every once in a while, and I do mean every once in a while, shows a team how to overcome adversity, makes the team stronger, more salty. Turn off errors. Yeah, maybe for somebody who can't coach. Anyways, you can also create your own seasons to where you were just the only Ultra team, or all teams are non-Ultra teams, or every single team is an Ultra team. And in that case, everybody that bought a ticket that day is basically going to watch a Marvel version of Savannah Bananas because they're going to see lightning, they're going to see fire. They're going to see people throwing a zigzag. I mean, they're going to see some wild stuff, which is probably the best way to play because I can't, in good conscience, create a league where normal teams have to face Ultra teams. I mean, could you imagine being a team with no access to superpowers, playing against a team with them? It would be like facing off against the Monstars in Space Jam. Want even more control? You can create your own teams in the editor, name your players, pick their handedness, and pick stadiums. This game also supports up to 6 custom teams. During the season, you can track stats and check leaderboards to see which hitters or pitchers are killing it and which ones are being duds, and monitor your standings in the league. Sound-wise, the main track in the soundtrack is a nice baseball-like tune. The music has that upbeat, energetic SNES vibe. And the sound effects, the crack of the bat, the goofy Ultra power-up noises, they all just hit right. But it could have used some variety in tracks to keep it fresh because the main track you hear does get pretty stale after a while. Now let's get into actual gameplay and movement. So one big downside is that this is one of those games that all the fielders move in one direction together and they are so slow. And God forbid you misjudge a ball and let it get past you in the outfield. Normally, if you let the ball go behind you, the runner is going to get an extra base. Here, if the ball goes behind you in the outfield, they are clearing the bases. A single can turn into an inside the park home run before you know it, because they're that slow. And I guess it just goes to show, even if you have superpowers, if you neglect the fundamentals, you still make errors. One other little quirk that bugs me, you can't run while holding the ball. What if I just want to make a couple warning steps to contain the runners? It feels like a missed opportunity, especially when you're trying to play smart and listen to your coach. And let's talk about the weak arms. I swear every fielder's arm is the equivalent of a wet noodle in this game. They can't make any throw without it bouncing a couple times towards the infield. Like, how did these guys get out of single A? Now, I swear I saw mention of a hyper throw in a menu or a manual. Maybe it's a power-up. But honestly, I haven't nailed exactly where this is or how to use it. Now, if I could, that would change the game. Because right now, even major league level fielders struggle to make a throw to second without doing a 3-hop. Then, of course, you have the crazy power-up pitches. Like I said before, pitchers can throw off fireballs, warps, throwing a ball that turns into a falling leaf, and yes, a real leaf, which would be awful trying to hit, but you can't even really complain about it. Like, can you imagine coming back to the dugout? Like, yeah, it's an awful pitch, and it's probably really, really hard to hit at the time, but imagine you coming back to complain, and the person before you watched a fireball go by, and the person before that watched a lightning ball go by, or the ball literally turned invisible, and then you complain you couldn't hit a leaf. Well, I mean, yeah, that's tough, but nowhere near the people that went before you. So if you try to complain about that, they'll probably just make fun of you. And even worse, if the pitcher's a southpaw, I mean, imagine trying to see the old nasty autumn leaf from the left side. That's brutal. And when you face pitching power-ups like this, it does not matter if your teammates are like the Houston Astros and calling the pitches by hitting a trash can or not, you're not going to be able to hit it. I mean, could you imagine? Okay, so 2 trash can hits for lightning ball. Okay, thanks, but that doesn't really help much. It's literally lightning. But when it comes to hitting, home runs are accessible even without an ultra power-up in this game, unlike Relief Pitcher, which I reviewed earlier, where I assume it is impossible to hit one out of the park. So I did enjoy the fairness of it all, even if you don't have any ultra points. So this game leads more towards arcade fantasy than baseball realism, and these ultra plays are flashy, but they're limited by ultra points, so you can't just spam them unless you set the points to unlimited, which brings a strategy element to the table. So you can have a game co-op with somebody, and then set the ultra points to where you only have 3 power-ups each. So then at that point, when do you unleash your missiles? Do you hold off for the final inning? And I can imagine this, like I said, really coming into play when you're playing co-op with a friend. Because then it's all about strategy and when to use your power-ups at the exact right time. And then it turns not only to a battle of skills, but a battle of wits and coaching. So, in all, the ultra power-ups are hilarious and inventive, but the fielders are painfully slow and weak. Miss a fly ball, and the runner's gonna score. Visuals and sounds are not top tier, but decent, and not as polished as more serious baseball games. But I would still get you to check out Super Baseball Simulator 1000. It is secretly deeper than you might expect on the surface, and yes, it's not the simulator that it promises, and it's not that realistic, but if you're into wild power-ups, customizing teams, and a mix of strategy and arcade craziness, then this is absolutely worth playing. And for all you mediocre gamers out there, you can pick this one up for a cheap price like most other sports games on the Super Nintendo. I got mine for $5 at a local thrift store, so there is no excuse not to try this one out. So, would a mediocre gamer like Super Baseball Simulator 1000? The answer is yes.